So I'm trying to wrap my head around this idea of disattachment, being unattached from the people's opinions, the world's views. I guess being even disattached from one's own negative thoughts of themselves. It's a very Eastern thought, which intrigues me a lot. This Buddhist or Hindu way of thinking, um, which is polar opposite of the West. Um, Unless one's gonna be like a monk or something like that, I don't know if it's possible and still be content. Um, this there's still, I think, a desire in humans to be around people who are like-minded and have that sense of community. And I guess sometimes, if that need is too much, one can compromise their own beliefs and criticisms or doubts, and might even, subdue those things just so they can be part of that community. Um, I think there has to be a healthy, whatever that may be, a healthy balance, much like a yin and yang kind of thing. But even in the yin and yang, I learned that um, the yang actually has somewhat a little bit more power than the yin. Um, and I think it is important that there's some share of being free from the bondage of other people's opinions of yourself. That becomes very dangerous, because people's opinions are always changing, and even the opinions that people may express, whether verbally or not, um, you still don't know what's going on inside that person. So to gauge yourself against another one is is not not yeah, it's detrimental, I guess, to your well-being. So I guess the balance for me is to um, have that freedom of my own opinion of of God and nature and the universe, but to also be open to other ways of thought, to consider them, and to be able to say, well, I might be wrong. And I think there's a freedom in that, being free enough to be able to say, wow, I might be wrong. You might have something there. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. Um, with dogmatic theists, as well as some atheists who can just as well be dogmatic, because we tend to look at the fundamental Christians or the Muslims as the only ones being the extremists, the dogmatic. Yet those even of unbelief can just be just as dogmatic. They can be just as extreme, not and closing their mind to any other opinion or possibility, because they may be part of a community. They might have a need to be accepted, to feel at home, and to think any other way can upset that. And there might be a feeling of insecurity, doubt, and then that might make them, and that can make them be afraid. And that fear usually comes through anger. And we see that a lot with extremists. But I think it does happen on the other side as well. This is why I find great freedom of thought in deism. I do not have to be pigeonholed and even, yes, even deism, as even as Professor Anton talks about, being hating that, disliking the the labels, because these labels always have all these definitions attached to them a lot of times. So in a lot of ways, I don't even like the definition of deism because of the classical sense of deist. So it's hard for me to put a label, because I think that my concept of God, I have to allow for those things that I haven't thought of. I have to allow for I see God as, if God is above in intelligence and consciousness, then it's going to be above my own intelligence and consciousness, and my intelligence is very limited. So there are these other possibilities I have to allow. I guess, yeah, a form of agnosticism, I guess. And this is why I say everyone is agnostic. This is why I said that in the other video. That everyone is agnostic, with only they have their leanings towards theism or atheism, but are afraid to admit that they don't know it all. Because I think humans need, in a sense, to feel like they know that they know, because it gives us a sense of security, of well-being. But I believe that being able to admit to not knowing actually gives some sense of freedom. And this is what I like about free thinking, deism, whatever you want to call it. The middle ground. A lot of, even as a Christian, even in the back of my mind, some of my thoughts, I always like to think of myself as someone who is a middle of the road kind of person. But to be objective, if I'm caught in between two people I know that are arguing, I try to understand where they're coming from. I say a lot of times, there's always three sides to the truth. There's always one person's opinion, the other person's opinion, and then there's the truth. I don't know. All right, just some of my thoughts. I guess kind of rambling here. Later, YouTube. Be well.